Uh, Tell us a little bit about yourself.
Hello, thank you for Yeah, so my name is Moon. I'm a filmmaker. I'm based in Chicago, Illinois. I'm originally from the Detroit, Michigan area, so this is
Mhm.
really cool to be featured in a festival all the way over in Connecticut.
Has the
Sorry,
film
what's up?
been getting a lot of showing? Have you been in a lot of festivals? And
Yeah, I've had a few official selections so far. I was in St. Louis and I've been shown in Chicago as well, and we have a few more coming up, I think. So I'm excited.
oh, fantastic! Let me start with Gwen. Tell me who Gwen is in your head.
Yeah, Gwen is this, you know, the age is interesting. I'm not sure what age Gwen is, but probably early 20s, if not late teens almost, because she is someone who she she's not sure about herself. She's so sure about some things, but she's not sure about a lot of other things. She knows that she's very smart. She likes to read.
Mhm.
That's a big personality trait of hers. But I think she gets so blinded by the fantasy world of everything in like books and in the film that she isn't sure um where she stands in her own relationship.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She certainly has a very active fantasy life.
Yes.
And I was saying to Snore in the earlier conversation that I don't think we give out awards at our film festival, but if there were an award for best shoe tying sequence,
Yeah.
it's a
Yeah.
it's a killer scene.
Thank you. Yeah, I love that. My intimacy coordinator helped with that a lot, and it was really fun to shoot. It was really hard to keep it, together, but I love the way it turned out.
Yeah, it's wonderful. But it speaks to a balance that really has to be struck in this film because there's a lot of humor. The fantasies are hysterical. The When the fantasy smacks up against the reality and she's brought back, uh, that's very funny. But there are real stakes here for Gwen. How did you find that balance of humor and pathos?
Yeah, that's a great question. The humor kind of just naturally happened. I think I really like to tell drama stories, and I'm not necessarily someone who just tells a comedy, but I like to sprinkle in the comedy because I think it's necessary. Like you were saying, you need a balance. And so um, I wanted to tell this like cutesy romantic story with a happy ending. And it kind of just turned into a romantic comedy because it needed to be, like you needed the back and forth there. And um, it was really fun to create these fantasy sequences. Once I had a few, I had to like make a few more, like to get the pacing right and everything. So,
Yeah.
um, yeah, it was really that was probably the most fun part of writing this was coming up with the fantasy sequences and making them comedic.
Well, where the film leaves off, and we don't have to worry about spoilers because at this point the audience has already seen
I
the
was gonna
film.
say.
Um, I found myself left wondering: is Gwen ready for the real world? Because up until that end, you've had this balance of fantasy and reality, of humor and pathos, and it made me wonder: is she ready for the real world?
Yeah, that's a great question too. And I kind of left the ending to be interpreted because I wanted that to be the story is like her going back and forth and her figuring it out and navigating it. And once she's on a track, it doesn't mean she's necessarily ready or gonna get to that finish line. But once she's on a track, that's kind of where the story I wanted to end it. So like I left it open, like I wanted it to be a happy ending, and Are they together? Are they not? Will they end up together? Will she end up breaking up with Marcus? Who's to say? Like, it's not, we don't know for sure, because they didn't necessarily break up in that argument scene either. They just kind of ended it. So
Yeah, it seemed that in Marcus's mind, this was going to be an ongoing conversation.
yes.
Um, well, let me ask about Marcus, but his perspective on this building relationship between Joe and Gwen was interesting, and in particular, the line about, well, you could have at least asked me to join,
Yeah.
seemed very much like something that a straight guy would say.
Yes.
Um, and it was horrific, but
Yeah. Yeah. I think it's really interesting having all of the I say all of the as if there's only like three sexualities, but like a lot of the main sexualities represented. Like we got a straight guy, we got a lesbian basketball player, we got maybe a bisexual, like
right.
so I kind of wanted there to be that perspective on it too. And um I wanted it to be realistic too. Like uh, if someone is in a relationship with someone who's so painfully straight, it's going to be hard for them to not also be painfully straight in a lot of ways. And so
Right.
that's kind of where I needed to ground that in the story somehow. And that's how Marcus kind of came to be and like really puts it, but he literally puts Gwen back into reality. So
Yeah. Yeah. It's a couple of times, right? Brings
yes.
her. Yeah. Let me ask you about the racial element. We've got a biracial couple. You've got uh, the relationship between Marcus and Gwen as well. Um, what what challenges did that bring? There's more to
Yeah.
that question that I just haven't come up with yet.
Totally. No, I can definitely talk about it. I want to say a big ups to my casting director too, because they encouraged me to cast who I did and really consider, the racial element of it too. And so, and Snore as well. Snore knew, well, I also knew a few of these people personally who auditioned, but Snore knew the guy who played Marcus more closely and highly recommended him. And it it made the straight couple almost a little bit more realistic, I feel, because they are from a community that they are similar with, and
Mm.
they're comfortable with each other, and they're going to stick to that community, and so for Gwen to meet this basketball player who is not black, that challenges her to consider dating outside of that community. And so um yeah, there's a lot of going outside of the comfort zone here, and so that's kind of how that is represented in Rebound, I think.
Yeah, absolutely. I loved the play on the title. Of course, you've got the basketball player, but also the changing relationships.
Right.
Uh, the one thing I wanted to ask you about, though, is the book that Gwen is reading when she starts fantasizing there on the couch. Visions of hydrangeas. I
Yes.
tried to do a Google search, and all I could come up with was books about flowers, and
Yeah.
I'm not a gardener. Is that a real title? Is that a real lesbian piece?
No, I just came up with that, but I wanted it to be kind of like those typical lesbian pulp novels from like the 50s and 60s, and um but like a lot of those have covers that are very obviously lesbian pulp novels too, is what I've noticed. And so I want it to be like a more this book is like from the like 50s or 60s. And so I wanted to have like this older kind of feel. Um, and because I wanted it to be from that era as well, like it made sense for Gwen to not realize it right away. Like, oh, this isn't inherently gay. This is just very like undertone. Like, obviously,
Yeah,
this is a gay story that came out during an era. you know. And
Right.
so,
And once Joe says it, then it all clicks
no,
into
I just
place.
came up with that, and, the hydrangeas. Yeah, and I included, I think, hydrangeas because of, I picked that flower for a reason, and now I can't remember exactly why I picked it, but, if you look closely, the flower that Gwen has in the wedding and the flower that Joe has in the dance scene, those are both hydrangeas too, so, like, um, I wanted to throw that in there too so that it all, like, connected. Yeah.
Oh, wonderful. Last question, because I know you got to run. Um, After the film ends, where do they go? Are they,
Yeah.
yeah, it's because everything is so new for Gwen, and there would be a lot of adjustments on both parts.
Yes, definitely. Yeah, I think they just go on a date. I think they
And
go grab a coffee or something and see how it goes and take it from step 1, because, in Gwen's head, they've already hit a couple bases, but in Joe's head, Joe is just like, "This is just a friend of a friend," so, I think they would go, like, see if they hit it off or not and go from there, and I think that's the next step.
yeah, because once somebody has done the sexy dance with the water bottle,
Yeah.
yeah, you imply a degree of intimacy that maybe isn't there.
Exactly, yeah, so that would be an adjustment for Gwen to, like, try to forget all that or just ignore it or something on their date.
Well, Moon, is there a place where after this film festival, folks might be able to go rewatch or recommend this to their friends? Have you found a home for it yet?
Um, so yeah, I got into a festival where it'll be streaming on this website called Pixquid. It's Pixquid. I don't have a lot of information about that yet, but in the coming months, it'll be on there and available. I believe it's a free streaming service, which is awesome.
Oh,
And
cool.
then after about a year, which is going to be in like February or March of my festival circuit, I'm going to make it available on YouTube as well. Um, so, those are the ways that people can rewatch.
Absolutely. Get some folks out there and put some
Yeah.
eyeballs on this because it's a wonderful film.
Well, thank you so much.
Moon, thanks for your time. We appreciate it. Take
Yes.
care.
Thanks, you as well.